So this right here is a modular projector. It's something I've never seen before, but it's actually a pretty interesting concept because you have this gimbal integrated for the projector itself, but you also have a pair of speakers on the top which you can remove from the projector and use as a surround system. But how well does this work? The model is the Nebula P1 and it's by Soundcore. Soundcore is a sub-brand from Anker. Yes, the same brand that makes one of the best phone chargers I've ever seen, because this is a Pikachu phone charger. I will not discuss this with anybody. It's got to be the best charger on the planet, but besides that, most of their phone chargers are always very good quality, as well as the power banks. They have one of the best on the market. This video is not sponsored by Soundcore or Anker. I just happen to really like their power banks as well as their phone chargers. But back to the projector. The specs on paper are actually pretty good. The surround system I mentioned previously is provided by two speakers, a right and a left, and both of them have actually 40 watts of power in case you want to crank them all the way up. They're also compatible with Dolby Audio, which is a nice surprise. As for the projector itself, you can get a 1080p image, which is actually compatible with a 4K signal. That means it doesn't matter if your 4K signal comes from a YouTube video, a Blu-ray, or whatever you want to plug into this thing, it will be able to play. Because some projectors, especially the cheapest ones, are not able to play a 4K signal, even though they're 1080p. They just don't work. They really don't know what to do with a 4K signal and how to translate it into 1080p. A lot of those projectors, especially the cheap ones, need a native 1080p signal. That's not the case with this P1. But you know what? The most interesting thing about this projector, it's not the gimbal, which you can use to focus or center the image. It's not the top two speakers you can use as a surround system. It's actually the operating system. It has Google TV integrated to it. I've never seen a projector with native Google TV, which, if you ask me, is actually genius, and most projectors should actually be doing this. It's a great idea. It's not the snappiest, but it does a great job. This thing only has 2 gigs of RAM to actually be able to manage the whole operating system, to manage all your apps, which I think is more than enough, especially for a projector. So the experience I would qualify as good. Not the most premium, but definitely not bad at all for the price point. It also includes a remote controller with backlit buttons, as well as a couple of shortcuts for some streaming services. It also has a mounting point on the bottom. So those are all the specs. But how well does this thing work? What's the image quality and what's the brightness? Well, the image quality I actually think is quite decent. It is compatible with HDR10, which I didn't expect either. And also you get very nice contrast, you get very good colors. I think it's pretty good for what you're paying. But there is a caveat, and that is that it only has 600 lumens ANSI. If you're not that technical, what 600 lumens means is that you can't use this on broad daylight, you can't use it with the window open, or even during some kind of daylight. You really need a closed window. You need a dark or to moderate environment, and you can use it on exteriors. It works pretty well. But it definitely doesn't work during the day. Another plus to this projector is that it also has great autofocus. No matter what the wall size is, no matter how straight or crooked the wall is, it actually detects it itself, it frames it itself, and it also autofocuses itself. And it actually does it amazingly fast. If for some reason it doesn't do it automatically, you can use the button on the remote controller for autofocus. I found myself never having to use it. It always focused on its own. On the rear, you can also find an HDMI port as well as a 3.5 jack in case you do want to connect some kind of headphones or some kind of sound bar, which is a little bit stronger than what you get with the included speakers. And yes, you can play video games on it, but you're only going to get 60 Hz. So you're not going to be able to play your Warzone at 120 frames per second. But what I really would have loved in this projector and would have made it perfect for me is that it would be wireless with an integrated battery. It's not wireless, it always has to be plugged in, but there is a provided 100-watt Anker power brick as well as a cable for it. You can also use any power bank that's compatible with at least 100 watts. It doesn't always use 100 watts. Most of the time it's using between 50 and 60. But if you want to be able to power it, you will need at least something that's compatible with 100 watts. So who is this projector really for? Well, this is not going to really replace your main television or any type of entertainment system you have, but more or less it's going to be something additional you have, like a dedicated cinema room where you're always going to watch movies in complete darkness, where you have a place where you can actually use a projector, where you can use it maybe on a garden at night if you have maybe a weekend house where you take or want to take something like this, because it's really portable and small, and in my opinion gives great image quality for what you're paying. I think this is a great weekend projector for a lot of home projects. What's the price? Well, depending where you live, you can find it for about $800. Again, for everything you're getting, which is great image quality, Dolby compatible, surround system integrated to the projector, which is not hi-fi or high-res resolution or the fanciest you can find on the market, but you're getting pretty decent integrated audio without having to purchase anything else, which I think is a good point, especially for that price point. It also has an amazing operating system, which is Google TV, one of my favorite if you ask me. Also, you can connect anything through HDMI, you can connect anything through 3.5, so I actually think it's a pretty complete package for what you're paying. If you're interested in purchasing one or looking for one, I will drop a link down below where you can find it. And also, if you're new around here, maybe consider subscribing, drop a like. It always helps us out quite a bit. And I'll also leave this video over here, which I think you might like as well.